Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and thank you for joining us. Please remember to go on and subscribe and turn on notifications so that you're the first to know of all new content as it comes out. Of course, we couldn't have a day go by without one of the Democrats demanding further control over American businesses. Without any surprise, this time it's Bernie Sanders, and he's blasting Wal Mart for what he says are starvation wages and demanding his federal $15 an hour minimum wage. I can tell you that I didn't get a starting wage that even would be equivalent to what 15 an hour is today until I was 27 years old. And then I was considered skilled for that job due to experience and education. This was a call center job. I'd had several. I was very experienced in that field, so I got a good job. And that was 15 years ago. And we were paid well above minimum because one, were handling a lot of information, a lot of responsibilities, and so on. But what people don't understand on the left is that the minimum wage is meant as a starting point, not an end point for someone's career path. Minimum wage is meant for lot cleaners, people who gather up carts and that's it at Walmart, or people who take orders and nothing else at McDonald's. Things like that. Okay, it's not meant as, well, I'm here and I'm going to be here for the next 40 years, because that would be stupid. No employer is going to want you to stay in one position for 40 years. Okay? Even civil servants. Look at the post office. Yes, there are people who are letter carriers for 40 years. If you ask them, they're going to tell you that at least a handful of times they've been approached about moving up the ladder, or they've been approached about moving into other positions that may need help. I can tell you that I was a hotel night auditor and room service attendant. Well, room service first, then moved to night audit. And it's because I enjoyed the night shift because I was going to college. And it worked out for my first 2 years because I could plan all my classes according to when I was off of work. Even at that time, my boss, knowing I was going to college and using overnights to schedule my times, he still wanted me to move into better and better and better and more responsible positions. He wanted me to take over the concierge duties. He wanted me to help with sales, wanted me to move into supervisory roles. I turned him down at every point because, one, I didn't want to stay in hospitality as a career. I love to travel, but I don't want to be moved all over the world every couple of years to get the next promotion. Two, along that point, I didn't want to stay in that hotel more than a couple more years. I was working a job that paid my bills until I got out of college. And that was it. But, that's the way the world works. High school kids get a part-time job at McDonald's or a part-time job at, I don't know, at Walmart or Target, and because they're not adults yet, they're typically picking up carts and sweeping and stocking, and that's about it. They make minimum wage and they don't get that many hours because these are people in a very, very much an introductory level career. Most of them go on to better jobs within 6 months to a year of graduation. I worked for a drugstore at the front counter as a cashier through high school. I decided I didn't want to go to college, so my boss, knowing I was not taking classes, moved me up to the photo lab as what they called a key carrier, meaning I could lock up the lab. I eventually moved into management in that lab before deciding that retail was not my cup of tea and moving out of that industry altogether. But that's what it's meant to be. Walmart, back to them, they pay their workers on average a good deal above minimum wage, probably $9.75 to $10 an hour. So that's minimum wage plus 30%. Yes, they're paying their high school kids and their part-timers who all they do is come in to sweep up or take out the trash. They're paid minimum wage because they're doing the very minimal jobs. They don't pay their full-time cashier supervisors, the yellow vests, they don't pay them minimum wage. They're probably making a decent money. Why else would you work in a job like that? I can tell you my folks that work at my local neighborhood market, Wal Mart, they're there regularly. And aside from a couple of retirees that either need to augment their retirement or just got bored, these are mostly people younger than me, which means they're not as established in an industry yet, but they've been there a little while. I mean, that place has been open 3 years. They're still there. So why would they still be there if they were being taken advantage of, paid starvation wages? And that's what most of the media doesn't want to even address. You see, Bernie Sanders, millionaire, multiple homes, multiple boats, cars, all of these wonderful things, his wife having apparently done something horrible with a college. So bank fraud Bernie, worth millions, wants to tell CEOs that started extremely small, the Walton family, they started in Arkansas with one store. They're now arguably the largest brick and mortar retail establishment on the planet. And bank fraud Bernie, that has never worked an honest day in his life, is ordering the CEO to surrender hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate profit to the government so that Bernie can decide who gets it and who gets how much. If Bernie gets his $15 an hour, you're going to see cashier staffs halved. Okay, the cashier staff at your store, half of them gone. And it will be your yellow vests that are still running things. You're going to see self-checkout at 90% of the lanes. Because, as this article points out, computers don't call in sick. They don't need raises. They don't need anything. And they're not being paid a dime, so none of the money is going to the IRS. Yeah, you might have to hire one person per region to be able to run around and repair them, or spend a few bucks here and there when one of them breaks to call somebody in, but that's a lot cheaper than employing 20, 30 people at $15 an hour. And of course, when that happens, Bernie's going to go insane, and more insane, and he's going to cry and whine about Walmart's evil policy of choosing to lay people off instead of pay them a fair wage. And nobody calls him out on this. AOC has done it, and she ran Amazon away from New York, and then crowed about it as if it was a good thing, and then cried and whined about being harassed when people didn't understand her brilliance of saving the city money by running taxes away. And this is what Democrats, one, none of them understand, and what the media doesn't care to actually explain. You see, corporations make profits. That's the only reason they exist. I will admit, yes, I've worked for a lot of different companies in the last 26 years. I had to do some math there. I am not a math major. But I've worked my fair share of jobs in the last 26 years. 27, really, because you count the part-time job I had at a tiny pizza place at 15. And while these companies that I've worked for do a lot of good in the community, okay, they make sure that they work with charities and such like that. They do a lot of good, but they exist to make a profit. And there's a reason for that. Profits go into employee bonuses and benefits. Profits go into expansion. Profits go into repairs and upgrades of equipment. Without profit, my little drugstore in tiny little town Texas would not have been able to put in point-of-sale readers. We would, for at least 4 or 5 years until the company could have afforded it, we would have been still working on those old registers where you key in a department number and a price, and that's it. I joke that I miss those days. And I'm not really joking. We didn't have problems of no scan when somebody came up. We knew what the price was. We knew what department it was. We had the old credit card, the carbon paper, and those didn't break. And yes, credit card companies made a good amount of money from charging people for going over limit. But if somebody goes over limit, they go over limit. They're still doing it today. And that's not on the company that they're spending the money at. That's on the person doing it. But without profits, you're not going to see that type of technology hit your store as soon as anything else. You're not going to see your grocery store able to expand to carry more items. You're not going to see your neighborhood Walmart able to expand into a full Walmart. You're not going to see Pennzoil able to open an oil change place closer to your home if they don't have profit. And this is what Democrats will never talk about. You see, when you go down to National Tire and Battery and you pay $57 for an oil change, and there's somebody else paying another amount for tires and all the rest of this, at the end of every fiscal year, they tally up how much money did we bring in, the net income. How much did we spend on rent, electricity, water, gas, cable TV, and Wi-Fi for our customers? Everything they spend is taken out of what they brought in, including salaries, bonuses, benefits, all of that. They then sit back and say, okay, we brought in $20 million. We spent $13 million. We have $7 million left. And yeah, that's tiny numbers for NTB and it's random, but we have $7 million left. They're going to look first at what do we need to fix? What repairs need to happen? What upgrades? Do we have enough left over to expand and open new businesses? After all of that, that's when maybe bonuses are talked about. Bonuses typically come from stock. And stock only does well when the company is doing well, making money, making a profit. And this is what, again, Democrats will never discuss. Because if this is actually brought up and actually talked about, the Democrats are going to have to admit, we don't care if it will cripple business. Give us the money so we decide who gets it. For crying out loud, it's in the original version of the Green New Deal, providing a living wage even to those unwilling to work. I haven't wanted to get a migraine, so I've not read the Green New Deal since the first draft. But the only real question left, how does anyone still believe this crap? And the answer is very simple. They don't know the first thing about economics. And many of them are in Congress as well. But I've talked about this long enough. My eyes are about to start twitching, so I'm going to let it go. Let me know what you think. Remember to be civil. We don't learn from argument. We learn from debate. As always, please remember to like and share the video, as well as to subscribe and turn on notifications again so that you're the first to know of all new content as it is posted. Until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.